At the end of the day, they don't have a dude. You got to have a dude. You got to have a 1A dude.
Now that you're NBA champion, what's your message for people saying that you're not a 1A guy?
I didn't respond to them then. I'm damn sure not going to respond to them now.
Here is the rewritten part, optimized for a natural and engaging AI voiceover. 3 years ago, Becky Hammon went on ESPN and made a huge claim. She said Jalen Brunson is just too small to ever win a championship. To prove her point, she named Stockton, Iverson, and Nash. 3 absolute basketball legends. 0 rings between them. Case closed, right? Well, not exactly. Because Kevin Garnett sat down on his podcast and completely destroyed that whole theory with just one single sentence.
You're going to have to put Brunson up there with Pearl. Bro, he is this generation's Patrick Ewing. Okay. He is the best player on the Knicks.
He arguably already a top.
Here is the rewritten part, optimized for your AI voice. Top 5 Knick of all time. We are talking Patrick Ewing level. Absolute franchise royalty. That same guy Hammon said was too short? Kevin Garnett just put his name right up there with the legends. And Paul Pierce was sitting right next to him, taking it all in. But KG didn't just stop at calling him a legend. He went even further. He practically handed Brunson the keys to the entire city of New York.
Whole city.
Brunson is the king of New York. He's the king of
New York. And they gave him that title based on the chance of just 1 ring. Coming straight from 2 guys who spent 20 long years trying to destroy the Knicks. It was a moment nobody saw coming. Here is how it all went down. Let's look at Kevin Garnett, an NBA champion, a 15-time All-Star, a true Hall of Famer, and a guy who absolutely hates the Knicks. He always has. Paul Pierce feels the exact same way. So, when these two sit at their podcast table on KG Certified and actually crown a Knicks player as top 5 of all time, the whole league stops and listens. They don't just hand out praise. They earn the right to guard that VIP list, mostly because they spent their entire careers trying to keep guys off it. On the other side, you have Becky Hammon. She coaches the Las Vegas Aces. She is an ESPN analyst. She learned the game straight from Greg Popovich. She really knows basketball, and honestly, that is exactly the point. 'Cause she is so qualified, her words about Brunson cut deep. So deep, the sting lasted for 3 whole years. Picture this, it is 2023 on NBA Today. Cameras are rolling and she lights the match.
Bark.
At the end of the day, they don't have a dude. You got to have a dude. You got to have a 1A dude. And they're missing that.
She basically said, absolutely not. They don't have a true number 1 guy. The Knicks are done and Brunson just doesn't count. Kendrick Perkins was sitting right there on the panel and he pushed back hard. He told her the Knicks do have their main guy. And his name is Jalen Brunson. But Hammon shut him down with an answer that will follow her for the rest of her career. He's too small. Just like that. 3 little words. 3 straight years of pure fuel for Brunson. But she didn't stop there. She doubled down. She took things a step further and made sure it wasn't just a regular opinion.
I got a philosophy. Can I say my philosophy?
Go ahead.
If your best player is small, you're not winning. John Stockton, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash.
She stated it like an absolute fact. 3 Hall of Famers. 0 rings. She built her entire argument on legends who never won the big one. And honestly, sounded like a solid rule. That is, until someone at the desk completely busted it wide open. They brought up Steph Curry. Why? 'Cause Curry is only 6'2". Yet he is sitting on 4 rings and a Finals MVP. Just like that, her whole theory fell apart on live TV. But right then and there, Hammon found a quick way out.
I mean, he's the greatest shooter to ever walk the planet. He's
An outlier. Remember that word. 'Cause she is going to need it again in exactly 3 years. The time, she sounded completely right. The whole table nodded along. Basketball history agreed with her. A 6'2" guard like Jalen Brunson was just too small to ever lift a championship trophy. But Brunson was watching, sitting on his couch, in total silence. He didn't send an angry tweet. He didn't run to a podcast event. He just woke up the next morning, walked into the gym, and went straight to work. And he kept working for 3 straight years. The 2024 Knicks lost in the second round. Hammon looked right. In 2025, they got knocked out in the conference finals. Hammon looked right again. 2 years in, the small guard was 0 for 2. She had every reason to feel great about her take. The stats were on her side. And then, 2026 happened. The Knicks absolutely tore through the East. They swept Philly. They swept Cleveland. Suddenly, they were walking right into the NBA Finals against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. And guess what? The whole league was still wondering if a 6'2" guard could actually finish the job. Game 5. Chance to close it out on the road. Keep in mind, the Knicks had not touched a championship trophy in 53 long years. Since 1973. And then, Jalen Brunson went crazy. He dropped 45 points. 15 of those came in the fourth quarter alone, including an insane 13 straight points. He dragged the Knicks back from 10 points down to win it all, 94-90. They handed him the Finals MVP trophy. It was 100% unanimous. Every single voter picked him. Scoring 45 points in a closeout game on the road? Only 4 players in NBA history have ever done that to win a title. Michael Jordan, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bob Pettit, and Jalen Brunson. That is the legendary company Hammon's too small guard belongs to now. But Brunson himself? He still didn't say a single word about Becky Hammon. He didn't have to, 'cause his teammate took care of that for him.
Because a lot of the conversation around this team is, can you do it with a 6'2" point guard? What do you say to all the folks that question number 11?
He's the best player. He won MVP. It's no debate. It's no question about that. And if you look at the series, the way he did it, we was always down, and we was always coming back in the fourth quarter, and guess who had the ball?
No debate. No questions asked. That 6'2" guard had the ball in his hands for every single comeback. And he got it done. Alvarado didn't drop her name either. He really didn't have to. Every single Knicks fan watching at home knew exactly who they were talking about. Then the reporter walked right up to Brunson, face to face, with cameras flashing everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now that you're NBA champion, what's your message for people saying that you're not a 1A guy?
I didn't respond to them back then, and I am damn sure not going to respond to them now. That was the kill shot. No wild celebration. No name dropping. No showing off. Just a guy who kept his mouth shut for 3 whole years, letting everyone know he can easily stay quiet for 3 more. The ring is his answer. The MVP is his answer. That massive trophy sitting right next to him says everything that needs to be said. 10 days went by. Hammon had plenty of time to think. Time to write out a proper statement. Time to just take the high road. She walked into her pregame press conference in Vegas, knowing exactly what reporters were going to ask. She was ready for it. This was her perfect chance to put the whole thing to rest. But she didn't.
There's no air to be cleared. I said what I said. He proves me wrong. He proves me wrong. I mean, I good for.
He proved me wrong. She said it twice. But her delivery? Completely flat. Robotic. Sounded like she was reading off an invisible script that she rehearsed in her car on the way there. Let's be real. That was not an apology. That was basically a hostage video with a microphone. And then, right after that, in the exact same breath, she did the one thing that completely gave her game away.
But I do think the 2 best teams are in the West.
She actually dropped this line. We know who you like, right?
Oh, you know who I'm...
The Knicks literally just won the championship. Jalen Brunson just took home Finals MVP. And yet, she is still out here saying the West is better. She is still openly rooting against him. The reporter even gave her the perfect setup to take her words back. But instead, she doubled down. She used the exact same word. The exact same excuse 3 whole years later. She used it on Steph Curry in 2023 to save her theory. Now, she is using it on Brunson in 2026 to keep it alive. Normally, that is where the story ends. The sports news cycle moves fast and everybody just forgets. But not this time. 'Cause 2 grown men hit record on their podcast, and they absolutely refuse to let her off the hook. This is the exact moment the takedown becomes permanent. Paul Pierce starts things off. He looks back at his own legendary career to describe exactly what Brunson just pulled off. Dropping 45 points in a massive closeout game.
That's them P numbers, boy.
That was killer.
Picture this. Derek Jeter, Aaron Judge, and Jalen Brunson all pull up to the VIP section at the exact same time. Who gets that velvet rope opened for them first?
Who getting in the club first?
It's clearly Brunson because his 1 ring, his 1 Finals MVP is worth all.
Paul Pierce won Finals MVP back in 2008. So trust me, he knows exactly what big closeout numbers look like. He sees that 45-point game, and that is the standard he measures Brunson against. Then, Pierce takes it a step further and puts him right next to Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge. We are talking about the absolute crown princes of New York. The guys who own the VIP rope at every single club in Manhattan. But Pierce says Brunson gets that rope opened first. Even before the Yankees captain. Even before the home run king. All because of just 1 ring. Kevin Garnett had been sitting there, just nodding the entire time. And then he finally speaks up and says, they proved a lot of people wrong.
Brunson proved a lot of people wrong, and they went through it. You know, sometimes you gotta, the criticism fueled them, and you know, it showed that they was like, look, we here, and you know, my hat's off.
They proved a lot of people wrong. Kevin Garnett knows exactly how that feels. Back in 1995, he got drafted straight out of high school. Nobody thought a teenager could survive in the NBA. But he proved everyone wrong. So when he says this, he is calling people out without actually saying their names. He is talking directly to every single analyst who wrote Brunson off on national TV. And yes, he is definitely talking to her. And right then, KG and Pierce stopped building their case and delivered the final verdict.
It's a new king. Like, Brunson now has put himself on the Mount Rushmore of New York athletes off 1 championship. Off 1 championship. Because it's heavy. That championship is heavy.
They immortal, bro. They're going to forever be immortal.
You know what I'm saying?
Wherever they go.
The Mount Rushmore of New York sports. We are not just talking about the Knicks. We mean all of New York. The Yankees. The Mets. The Giants. The Jets. All of it. The Babe Ruth tier. The Joe Namath tier. The Lawrence Taylor tier. And now the Jalen Brunson tier. Immortalized forever. And all it took was 1 ring. The guy Hammon called too small is now carved in stone. But here is the part nobody really wants to talk about. For 3 whole years, Jalen Brunson didn't say a word. He heard all the jokes about his size. He heard people say he wasn't a true number 1 option. He heard Hammon. He heard the Stockton, Iverson, and Nash comparisons every single time he stepped on the court. He even heard his own city's media call him a regular season guard who would choke in the big moments. But he didn't tweet. He didn't start any beef. He didn't jump on a podcast to clap back. He just bottled it all up. For 3 years. That is the cost. That is the heavy weight a 6'2" guard carries when the TV analysts have already buried him. In every closeout game, in every fourth quarter, you hear those doubts. You can't unhear them. They sit in the back of your mind just waiting for you to flinch. But when his moment finally came, when he dropped 45 points on the biggest stage of his entire life, he still refused to say her name. The ring did the talking for him. KG and Pierce did the talking for him. He never even had to open his mouth. That is what it takes to win in New York when nobody believes you can. But honestly, Becky Hammon was right about one thing. Jalen Brunson is an outlier. She used that word in 2023 to protect her theory from Steph Curry. She used it again to protect it from Brunson. And she is going to need that word a lot more in the future because the league is changing. The old rules about size are breaking. We now have 6'2" guards leading championship teams in back-to-back decades. Here is exactly what she missed. An outlier is not just an exception to the rule anymore. The outlier is the new rule. Stockton, Iverson, Nash, they never won. She was right about them. But Curry won. And now Brunson won. Both are 6'2". Both were the absolute best players on their championship teams. That is not an outlier anymore. That is a pattern. The very thing Hammon called Brunson's biggest weakness, his size, is the exact reason New York fell in love with him. Every single kid who was ever told they were too small to make it, they just watched a 6'2" point guard drop 45 points in a finals closeout game and lift up the trophy. That kid is going to play so much harder tomorrow because of what they saw. Brunson is not just a player anymore. He is a symbol. And that is exactly why Kevin Garnett didn't have to say her name. The story told itself. Top 5 Knick of all time. On the Mount Rushmore of New York athletes. Immortalized off just one ring. The guy who was simply too small. If you agree that Jalen Brunson is the true king of New York, hit that like button. If you still side with Hammon on this one, drop a comment down below and tell me why. And if you want more deep dives where legends finally say what nobody else will, make sure to hit subscribe.